public and private key encryption. History, how it works, who uses it, advantages, disadvantages, and other encryption methods. History. Private encryption has been around for hundreds of years, and the first ever recorded type of encryption was used by the Greek historian Polybius. He used a method with a grid of lots of letters, and each letter on the grid represented two letters. For example, A would equal T and O. The next official encryption device was designed by the National Bureau of Standards, called the Data Encryption Standard, DES. DES was very successful and is still used today. DES is extremely fast and secure. However, like all cryptography devices, there's been devices designed to break the code, but they range from millions to hundreds of millions of dollars to buy. The main reason why no one has broken the code yet is it would take many months and years to break, even with a decryption machine, because how complex it is. The idea of a public cryptography was first presented by Martin Hellman, Ralph Merkle, and Whitney Diffie at Stanford University in 1976. They used a method which they referred to as the subset problem, but which has been come to known as the snapback problem. The snapback problem is based upon the NP-complete problem that given a container of specific size and set of distinctive blocks, one can only find the set of blocks that fits exactly into the container, using an exhaustive search or using special knowledge about their problem. So every letter or integer is represented as 7 different binary codes. Each letter and integer will be different. For example, if we're going to take the message secret, S could represent 7 different, like it could be 011010, and then the E could be just any 7 different digits in the binary. How it works. Private keys work by creating an algorithm of mixed letters, numbers, and characters. So as soon as you send something across the network, it is digitally converted into a key. A key is a set of randomly generated numbers and letters. Private keys and public keys can only be decrypted by the corresponding key. For example, I send a bank code to the bank, which is digitally encrypted, then transferred to the correct web address. Once it reaches the web address, it is decrypted and the user can see the relevant information which I sent. Public keys work exactly the same as a private key. However, in a public key, your key is open to anyone, whereas the private key is only open to the relevant person. Just like private keys, public keys can only be decrypted by their corresponding key. So even though it's public to anyone, you can't decrypt the data unless you have the corresponding key. So I could send some information to my friend, and then anyone else can send the information, however they can't get the information I sent. But they can decrypt and encrypt information. Say like on a website, you access a website. If you send your username to that website, you're sending your private keys so no one else can access it. Private keys, public keys are used by everyone on a daily or weekly basis, and most of the time you couldn't even tell the difference between private and public encryption. Every time you search on the internet, your searches on data are encrypted by the DES and server. Encryption works by the user using the public key to decrypt the data, then use the private key to encrypt the data. There are more advantages than disadvantages with using private key encryption. The main advantage is the fact that it only uses one single key to encrypt the data, and only the person with the corresponding key can access that data that's being transferred. Private keys are very easy to use because the system only needs to do one single mathematical equation to encrypt and decrypt the data. The process of encrypting and decrypting data is almost transparent, and the only thing to date that can decrypt the data costs millions to create. The file access is quick and easy as long as all the users have got the key encryption data in their system. The disadvantage of using a private key is that in order to access encryption over email, the user must first send their key to the other user, which could be intercepted in the process over data tapping or any other The biggest and most prominent problem is that someone has access to one of your keys, and if someone has access to one of your keys, they have access to all your keys, because usually their keys won't change. However, if you are using a multi-key system, only the person who has been their data is being decrypted. They're the only one whose data is going to be accessed. RSA is a public key encryption. Other encryption methods. RSA is a public key encryption algorithm and is what most data sent over the internet uses. It is also one of the methods used in PGP and GPG programs. Unlike other encryption methods and algorithms, it uses a pair of keys. It takes a lot more processing power to decrypt the RSA message. Blowfish. Blowfish is an algorithm designed to eventually replace DES. Blowfish is designed to split the message into blocks of 64 bits and then encrypts them all individually. Twofish splits the data into blocks of 56 bits in length, and as it is asymmetrical protocol, it only needs one key. Thanks for the presentation.